On today's podcast, we'll be covering paint versus tape, so stay tuned. Welcome to Warehouse Safety Tips. You can find the show notes to each episode, links to information mentioned on the podcast, the social media platforms we're on, and anything else related to the podcast at warehousesafetytips.com. Now, if you're a seasoned podcast listener, this podcast is going to be different from most you listen to. It's based around exactly what the name implies, warehouse safety tips. And since the people in this industry are busy, we know that time is money and each episode will be as short and to the point as possible. And now, with all of that out of the way, let's get to the podcast. With Thanksgiving and Christmas approaching, we're entering a couple of the busiest maintenance times of the year. One of the maintenance tasks done during these times is applying or updating floor markings. Now, although there are several options out there, two remain the most popular: paint and tape. Now, just to give you a straight up spoiler alert, this podcast weighs very heavy on the side of tape versus paint, and here are just a couple of the reasons why. Assuming you've picked an adhesive tape that's designed for heavy industrial use, they install quickly, some even remove just as fast and without residue. Paint does not go down or come up quickly. Some are beveled to increase the durability against industrial brush scrubbers, forklifts, and heavy industrial wheel traffic. They have no dry time, unlike paint. The installation requires very little production time in your facility, and they can have a stripe or chevron pattern. Doing this with tape is extremely difficult or impossible, and at the very least is extremely time consuming. Now, we're open to debate on the subject, but feel that the above-mentioned benefits make for an obvious winner. Now, regardless of what you choose, be sure to do everything you can to make your facility as safe and productive as possible. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Warehouse Safety Tips, and stay safe. Before moving on, here's a word from one of our sponsors. If you've ever been to or worked in a warehouse, you know just how important safety is to both management and staff. It's almost impossible to go 10 steps without seeing safety tape, angles, signs, and/or safety products. It's these items that show us how to be safe and avoid danger in the workplace. And if you're looking for the best products to make this happen, look no further than Mighty Line. Mighty Line floor signs and floor markings offer the best industrial products out there. We're proud to have Mighty Line as the official floor sign and floor marking company for the Warehouse Safety Tips podcast and site. Go to mightylinetape.com/safety tips to request a sample pack of their incredible safety signs and floor markings. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Warehouse Safety Tips. If you visit warehousesafetytips.com, you'll find the show notes for this episode and access to all of our blog posts, previous podcasts, advertiser information, and much more. Thank you for listening to Warehouse Safety Tips, and have a safe day.